guys enjoy this video, remember that you guys should subscribe, ring that notification bell, and follow me over on social media. You can also join the public CalPals community Discord server in order to chat with me and the other members. If you want to get some awesome rewards and support us directly, take a look at our Patreon. Some of these rewards include early access to all of our videos, from reactions to discussions, as well as being able to have us react or discuss whatever ship, theory, or topic that you want. Now, on to the video. Alright everyone, Rooster Teeth is in a little bit of controversy, and I want to keep this kind of short because I do want to sort of read you guys a statement, but I do have some thoughts. And so my first thing is, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I sort of have a policy when reporting stuff like this, right? And so, whenever someone gets fired or there's a controversy or stuff like that, I try to just report on, the actual facts. For the last controversy, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about, right? I just sort of said, here's Rooster Teeth's statement, so-and-so is fired, here's personally, I guess, what I think about that. But I wasn't and this is what this voice actor thinks, and this is what this voice actor thinks. I think to some extent, right? I think it can be done responsibly, but most YouTubers are clickbaity and irresponsible with that type of, speculating. And that's what I'll call it, because I don't want to speculate too much. I don't want to speculate on Glassdoor posts or on the creator of Nomad of Nowhere's post in this situation, in this case. I don't want to speculate. I just want to report, hey, here's what Rooster Teeth said. You guys can go on Reddit and sort of read those threads and all of that stuff yourself, but I don't want to sort of speculate on those type of things. I don't feel like it's my place to, and I feel like you guys should sort of formulate your own opinion on all of that stuff, because I think that the problem with a lot of YouTubers is that they are actively trying to tell you what to think as they are reading sort of these things out, if that makes sense, and sort of reading either Twitter threads or tweets or Reddit posts or Tumblr posts or whatever it is, whenever they're oh, well, so-and-so said this, it's sort of oh, they're trying to actively sort of tell you, oh, well, this must be true or this must be false. There's not really just the reporting part. There's a lot of sort of speculating that goes into it sometimes, and I don't like that. I don't like that. And so I wouldn't do it. And you guys, if you have been here since the Calxiyn video, I feel that situation is entirely different, because I think there's a difference between people saying stuff about you, right, and then people making an ass of themselves on Twitter. And that's what happened when Calxiyn got fired. The voice actress for Glinda, I think her name's Calxiyn. It's been a minute, right? And so you guys may be but Cal, in that video you weren't very fair and unbiased. And I'm no, because she put it all out in the open. So, it was from the horse's mouth, so to speak. It's not like people said bad things about her and we were all speculating on whether it was true. No, she she put that all out there herself and wanted people to see it by posting it on Twitter. So that's my opinion on that. But obviously with the last controversy, you guys can see I tried to remain as unbiased as possible. Now, this has been going on for a little too long, so I am going to, read out the statement to you guys. We have seen the recent messages about Rooster Teeth's animation studio related to Crunch, and we want everyone to know we take these concerns seriously. We acknowledge that we could have better managed our animation pipeline, and we apologize to all those who have been affected. Over the last several months, we conducted a review and have taken several steps to improve communication and workflow to ensure we have a studio where people are happy to come to work every day. We are announcing today new measures on the road to improvement. Effective today, we are moving forward with a previously planned change in our producing and creative structure. Gray Haddock is stepping down as head of studio for animation to dedicate himself to a strictly creative role. With Gray's help, we have been in the process of hiring a new production head of department, who will be responsible for the overall producer hierarchy and staff management. We want to thank Gray for his hard work and dedication to growing the animation studio over these years, and are excited to continue working with him in this new capacity. Further, we are consulting with the experienced leaders in the animation industry on our workflow, pipeline, production structure, and other areas to enhance the workplace experience for our staff. Margaret M. Dean, the head of Eliton Animation Studios and president of Women in Animation, will consult us and aid the search for a new studio lead. We'll always continue to work on improvements to our workplace, and we appreciate everyone's support and feedback on this ongoing mission. So I'm going to talk about like things from a PR perspective for a minute, like last time, just because, as you guys know, I am a professional communication student, and so this reads as a very sort of created by PR type statement. Obviously, even how I read it, you guys can probably tell, like, oh, Cal's seen something like this before, right? And so it's one of those things where it's like, and this is, I guess, like entirely my opinion. I can't say whether this is true or not, but I feel like that I am getting the vibe that this was previously planned in some capacity, and they just sort of released this news before they were sort of ready to, because I feel like it would be worse PR if they just pulled this person out of their ass, right? Like the, president of Women in Animation that they bring up, who they're going to consult with, right? If they said that and she was just like, who the fuck are you guys? Like, I don't know who you guys are, right? Like, if something like that happened, that would be worse. Right, so unless they just called her up this morning and asked her for that favor, right, or, just fired Gray on the spot, which I doubt that they would do, it's sort of one of those things where I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I don't think that it is just something that they hastily put together to sort of retain their image, like to retain their PR image, right? And so I feel like that this was probably in the works for a while. I guess my other reasoning for that would be just because Miles also stepped down from a position to focus on Ruby. Like, it sort of makes sense that Gray would step down from something to focus on Genlock. Like, to me, that sort of makes sense. And so, yeah, it's sort of one of those things where I'm like, I don't think this is just like some like hastily put together cover up, but that's my opinion on it. Again, you guys heard it, you guys can think what you want, but again, from someone who is in professional communications, who is going to school for that, I read this and I'm like, I don't think this is something that they just like slapped together and we're like, okay, well, this will make the masses happy, right? It seems like something that was already put into place before, because if it wasn't, like, that could backfire on them badly. So that's like my first opinion on that. I am clicking back and forth to sort of reread parts again, just because I want to make sure that I am getting everything. I know that you guys can sort of see it in the reflection of the glass back there. They didn't mention, like, a lot of people were sort of throwing around like unpaid overtime. They didn't actually address that, and so that sort of makes me think one of two things, right? It's true, and they didn't talk about it for some reason, even though I feel like, I guess it's sort of two things, right? I don't know, like, the legality of that in the United States. I don't know the legality of that in Texas, right? And so if they admitted, yeah, we did this, we're going to change, right? Obviously, that would open you up to a lawsuit if that wasn't something legal that they did. Or it's just not true, so they didn't feel the need to have to go over it and deny it, right? Obviously, I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm just saying that that's something that people were sort of tossing around and they didn't sort of mention here. I think what they have admitted is that they have a time management problem, and I feel like we sort of already knew that anyway. And so I feel like that, and here's sort of what I think, right? And so here's my hot take for today, is that crunch time in itself is not a bad thing or is not a problem. If every time is crunch time, like if every single day is working overtime because, like whoever is managing like the teams and the animators like really fucked up and didn't properly estimate how long certain things would take, or maybe they did and they were like, well, we need it out by this time anyway, so they're just gonna have to deal, right? Whatever that case may be, that is the issue, is like when people have a time management issue in terms of scheduling, oh, this needs to be done by this day, this needs to be done by that day, right? That is sort of the problem. Occasional crunch time is, like, I think a non-issue, because things happen, like shit happens, right? It's either bad luck, or sometimes there's a mistake that nobody noticed before, or something like really, really goes wrong, right? Technology, like bad things just happen, right? And so if people have to work overtime to fix those things, it's, that's just sort of life. Bad things happen, right? And, somebody has to fix them anyway, because then the project is sort of, I don't know, it either, like, I guess, could sink depending on how bad that specific problem is, or get delayed or whatever, right? And so it's one of those things where it's like, it's how you treat your employees during crunch time and then after they do the crunch that I think is important, and that's just me. It's sort of like, yeah, the occasional crunch time when something, like when shit hits the fan, that's not a bad thing. Like, that's not a problem. It's when you're constantly overworking your employees because your time management skills are so poor and your scheduling of people is so poor, or because you know that something is going to need to be rushed right later, but then you schedule them anyway, if that makes sense, or you just deal with it anyway and you keep the certain date that you're coming out with something anyway, even though you know that it's going to make people work almost like constant overtime, right? So that's sort of one of the things that I'm sort of thinking, right? And I guess, like, again, this is sort of a personal anecdote, so don't take it as the end-all be-all of fact. But my mom does work, like, for a, like, she's basically the web manager for a company, and they basically can't function without her. Like, she is the only one who has, like, specific roles and tasks, right? And so she's kind of vital, right? If she disappeared, like, they would have a big issue, and that's the first thing, is that they know she's vital, and they know she's important, right? And so they know that they can't just, like, you know, get rid of her. But the other thing is, you know, if something goes wrong with the website and it's the middle of the night, yeah, she has to get up and she has to fix it. She's the only one who can do that. But, you know, when that happens, they let her come in and out of work whenever she pleases, basically, right? As long as she gets everything done. They're like, yeah, go home then, come in at, you know, whatever, right? So she gets to sleep in, you know what I mean? I'm a little jealous. She gets bonuses. They send baskets to our house, you know, all of this sort of stuff that they give her to show, hey, we appreciate you being up at 3 in the morning to fix this problem on the website, or like whatever the case, we appreciate your hard work, we appreciate your overtime, here's this, this, and this, right? And so I said this on Twitter, but by not doing that, you're basically telling people that they are replaceable. And I think that, you know, that's business, right? Like, I have a very basic, like, sort of job at, you know, a restaurant, or a movie theater, or an amusement park, or a retail store. I don't like to tell people exactly where I work, but it's like, yeah, they could replace me, right? They would have to retrain someone, and so it would take, you know, it would take time, and so maybe that's why they would want to keep me, but at the same time, like, my tasks are so, like, basic that, yes, I am easily replaceable by anybody else that can, you know, work certain machines, or do certain things, or take orders, or whatever the case, right? And so that's the thing. But when you're working with animators, I would think that the skill is a bit more specialized, right? And I saw a couple people, like, talking about this, is that, like, if you're animating, like, or, you know, or you're doing some sort of, I guess, art, like concept art, something like that, like, to some extent, like, the skill is much harder to replace than just, like, a regular, like, just a regular sort of retail job or something like that, right? And so you would want to treat them well, because it would be, like, very, like, there would be increasing difficulty in replacing them. And so that's what sort of puzzles me about this entire thing. I don't really, like, I don't know how many, like, animators are out there in relation to jobs. Like, maybe it's sort of like, in Ontario, we have, like, a teacher problem. We have too many teachers and not enough, like, you know, classes for them to teach or whatever. So I don't know if it's sort of like that with animation, so that there are a bunch of, like, skilled animators lined up ready to, like, sell their soul to Rooster Teeth or whatever. But I would think that you would treat your animators well, because they would be very, very difficult to sort of, you know, have replaced, right? And so that's sort of, I don't know, what I'm sort of thinking about in this whole thing, is that you wouldn't want to treat them like shit, because it would cost more money to have to, sorry, there's this fly that just came in out of nowhere and, like, jumped on my light. But yeah, it would take, you know, more time for them to replace. And I get it, because I am in professional communications. It is sort of like, you know, a subset of, like, a business course, right? Because you would be working for, like, a corporation. Everyone is replaceable. That's just sort of the facts of business, right? And that is, like, and that sort of business mantra is not very moral or ethical, to say that, you know, humans are just replaceable, that you'll just, you know, overwork them until they hit burnout and then replace them with a fresh new animator to sort of destroy. Like, that's not, right? Like, that may be business practice, but we all know that, like, morally and ethically, that's not good. And so it has to be at least either, like, not directly in the middle, like, maybe a little leaning to more this side, instead of just, like, oh, well, we need a Venn diagram of both business and, like, treating people as human beings. Like, no, maybe not a Venn diagram, maybe, like, a scale, like, little more over here to the moral side instead of over there, you know what I mean? Not an exact middle. So that's sort of my thought on that. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I'm not going to read the Glassdoor reviews. I'm not going to read the stuff from the Nomad of Nowhere creator. You guys can go find that. But yeah, that's just my opinion on this, sort of from a PR perspective again. Here's my other thing, though, is that I'm sort of questioning, is that this was not, and so this is why I think that their statement is also honest, because this was not such a big controversy that they really needed a statement. Like, when they fired Vic, yeah, they did. Like, obviously they did, because they weren't the only ones involved in that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, other companies were firing him too. So yeah, that kind of needed a statement. But with this, it's like, this didn't get so out of hand. Like, it's a couple, like, I don't know, a couple hundred people on Reddit, maybe, I haven't checked the thread, that saw it. Like, Tumblr is always outraged about something, so let's just ignore that. Like, you know, partial, like, community on Twitter. And so it's like, this was not such, like, a big controversy that they really needed a statement to, like, save their ass. And that's why I also, like, sort of get the feeling that it's genuine, right? Because, again, like, with the Vic situation, they had to. Like, they had to. And I talked about this last time. From a PR perspective, they had to at least say something, right? And, you know, in that video I talked about, like, yeah, they kind of had to fire him. But with this, it's sort of like, they didn't have to say anything. Like, it's nice that they did, obviously, but that's what reads it as more genuine to me, because I feel like that they wouldn't, you really don't need to say something unless shit is hitting the fan. Like, as a company, unless it's really going to, like, impact your numbers and sort of destroy you, you can sort of keep quiet, right? And it's sort of up for, like, the social media team and the PR people to sort of run those analytics and decide, like, how much of making a statement will actually hurt us, because it brings more attention to something that people probably weren't originally going to know about. And so here's the other thing that I think, right? And so this is my final thing, is that I think that what could have potentially, like, set them off is the fact that some of the Ruby YouTubers started talking about it. So, like, Murder of Birds made a vague tweet about it, but it seems like that's what he was talking about, because the creator of Nomad of Nowhere actually replied to him, and then I think Murder of Birds posted that. So that's sort of one of those things where it's like, yeah, so that may have pressured them a little bit, and then, like, obviously we were talking about it in some capacity on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, guys, we have so much influence. Like, I'm not trying to be like that, I'm just saying that if all of the Ruby YouTubers didn't tweet anything, especially, you know, Murder of Birds and Eruption Fang tweeted something too, it's sort of like, like, they probably could have kept quiet, because it would have been like maybe 1,000 people on Reddit. Again, I haven't checked how many votes the thread has or comments or whatever. And, like, the Tumblr people, last time I checked that Tumblr post, it had like 100 notes. Like, that's not really a lot in the grand scheme of things. And then, like, a couple people, like, outraged on Twitter as well. But obviously, like, the Nomad of Nowhere creator sort of replying to Murder of Birds tweeting about it, Cole tweeting about it, I feel like that's why, right? Because I feel like that sort of escalated it, because if it was just the Reddit thread, because they say replying to the Reddit thread, right? Like, they're saying, like, in this direct sort of, like, oh, we're directly, like, responding to, like, the Reddit thread that was posted. It's like, I don't think that the Reddit thread was the main problem, because if none of us tweeted about that, if the creator of Nomad of Nowhere didn't tweet about it, it would have been like, nothing would have, you know what I mean? And so it was more like the stuff going on Twitter, I think, because the first Reddit thread, and let me make this clear, the first Reddit thread only had things from Glassdoor, right? The second Reddit thread had stuff from the creator of Nomad of Nowhere. So I'm not entirely sure which one they're referring to when they're saying, like, we're responding to the Reddit thread, like, in the title of their post. But yeah, I do definitely think that it was you could say unnecessary or, like, unexpected attention brought to it by specific YouTubers that sort of, you know, blew it up a little bit for them to be like, maybe we should talk about this. That's it, I think. I think we're done. So I hope that you guys feel a little bit more informed. That's basically all I have to say, so I will see you later. Bye. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I'm just going to take a moment here to thank our patrons over on Patreon and our Discord server moderators who are a part of our community. Pals at the $2 tier get exclusive access to our video scripts. They get exclusive access to our schedules, updates, polls, the live podcast, and the chat to ask questions for our monthly Q&A. They also get a name feature at the end of every video. At the beginning of every month, Pals will be able to vote for me to watch the first episode of whatever anime or cartoon that they want. This encourages us to watch some cool new anime that maybe we've never seen before, and if we enjoy it enough, we may put it up in a poll to replace one of our weekly show rotations. The Caterpillars at the $5 tier have access to all previous rewards, and they also have access to our videos a week in advance, early access, so that's a week early before they are released onto YouTube. And there's also a special reward. Patrons at this tier will get access to an exclusive reaction series that'll be posted for patrons and patrons only. It will not be public to YouTube until after it's finished and another Patreon exclusive series has started. So basically, the patrons get their own anime reaction series of whatever anime that they vote for, and it's just for them. It won't be on YouTube, so it's totally for patrons and to the benefit of all of the wonderful patrons who support us at this tier. The Calxiyn have access to all previous rewards, exclusive access to our videos as soon as they're ready, and so in the past this has been, say, 14 days, so 2 weeks in advance, sometimes 30 days in advance, so like a month early, sometimes they've been 60 days in advance, so imagine getting to watch the videos on our channel basically 2 months before anyone else, because it does happen depending on how much Hunter and I pre-record in advance. They also have the ability to invite one of their friends into the Discord server without them needing to pledge on Patreon, so if you have a friend that loves the cartoons that we react to, or the anime we react to, or, the video games, cartoons, and anime we do discussion videos on, you can bring them as a part of our community without them having to need to pledge. But they also get a special reward, and this is 3 video tickets. So these can be used to request videos. 1 ticket equals 10 minutes, so if you guys have seen, we've done a lot of shipping video requests, we've done a lot of reaction requests that say pay Patreon video in the brackets, and so those are videos that patrons have used their tickets on to get us to do for them. The Calxyns have access to the Calxyn, which is a special reward for this tier that I'll explain in a moment, but they get access to all previous rewards. They get 6 video tickets, which would be long enough for, say, 2 anime episode reactions, or 6 10-minute videos, so 6 shipping videos, for example, 6 discussion videos if they're all 10 minutes long, and they also have the ability to invite 2 of their friends into the Discord server without them needing to pledge on Patreon. And they will also get access to the VIP chat since they are a VIP. And so that is where the Calxyn comes in. The Calxyn is our VIP text chat on Discord. We also do a monthly VIP-only voice call. Let's just take a small break here to thank the moderators on my Discord server. So they obviously help out a lot with moderating and setting up events for the community and just being, generally good parts of the community to have around. So I just wanted to include this little bit in between all the patrons to just sort of thank them for their work, thank them for helping out in my community, and all that sort of stuff. The Calxiyn have access to all previous rewards, 15 video tickets, the ability to add me as a friend on Discord so I can go ahead and make a private group chat with them so they have direct private access to us, the ability to invite 3 of their friends onto the Discord server without them needing to pledge on Patreon. Those friends will also get access to the VIP chat as well, and their special reward is auto-hosting their live streams on my Twitch and being able to promote their videos in the Discord server. The Catastrophes have access to all previous rewards, 30 video tickets, access to my private Instagram, Snapchat, and a private group with just Hunter and I. They have the ability to invite 5 of their friends into the Discord server without them needing to pledge over on Patreon, and those friends will also get access to the VIP chat since at the $100 tier you are of course a VIP. For the special reward, we would make videos and collaborate together, so we could write the script together, record the lines together, edit and post the video on my channel. They would be sort of credited and all of their links would be posted in the description and all of that normal stuff that you would expect from a collaboration like this. But obviously it is a very special project because it would be, from a patron, it would be sort of a community project, and that's why it's one of my favorite special rewards. So again, one big thank you to all the patrons over on Patreon who help keep the channel alive. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.